Life is changing. Hey, and I can't go on without you. Rearranging. Hey, and I will be strong. I'll stand by you. You are fighting every day. So hard to hide the pain. I know you never said goodbye. I had so much left to say. One last song given to an angel's son. As soon as you are gone, as soon as you are gone. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, from deep in the bowels of our underground lair, flying our flag at half staff for a fallen brother. How you doing?
Not great.
No.
I mean, usually I'm doing pretty good no matter what. But today is not a particularly good day.
No.
Yesterday was a particularly bad day.
Yes, and today we're recording this on September 11th.
True.
It's always a solemn day for me. I always, early in the morning, make sure that I replay a video of those events so that I never forget.
Yeah, and, my view on 9/11 and how it was used by our government has tainted sort of my feeling of that day. I wish it hadn't. I wish I could separate the two, but I really can't. I do remember where I was. I was at a gas station where I heard it over the radio. They had it playing. And this is kind of before. I had a cell phone, I think, but, you didn't get your...
Right.
Now you get news on. You didn't get news on a phone back in 2001.
No.
And so I do remember where I was.
Me too. I was actually taking some vacation days from work. I was up in Duluth with my family and walked into my mom's living room just before the first plane hit. And then when the second plane hit, my heart just sunk. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I saw the second plane hit live.
This is on purpose, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was not a particularly good day either.
No.
You mean it was I don't know if I should say it was unthinkable. I guess me as a younger person just didn't, there had been other hijackings and there had been other hostage situations.
But nothing like this.
Yeah. And,
not since Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, I mean, nothing so blatant like that. I still have questions about that day, and I was always, and I don't mean to throw cold water on something, but I remember, it's funny, like the Matthew Crooks, the guy who tried to kill Trump.
Yeah.
We know nothing about the guy 14 months afterward. Nothing, not a thing.
Right.
The 9/11 hijackers, we had their names, faces, everything by 4 p.m. And it was, I always kind of, how did we know,
And that was back then.
Yeah, it's
no
always,
AI, no.
Yeah, I always scratched my head about that. And I think the truth is that these were people we were monitoring for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we let 9/11, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I'm saying a lot of times when, for 60 years, the CIA denied they had a file on Lee Harvey Oswald. Right. Turns out they did. Yeah. My guess is they were following some of these guys, or these guys were on some list or some connections to so-and-so. And that's probably why we were able to do that so fast. I mean, a flight manifest and stuff is not that hard to get, but it was. I always was amazed that day at how little we know about other things and how quickly we knew about that.
Yeah.
And but unfortunately, what's happened in our country since then has always kind of numbed me to that day.
Right.
So I look at that day a lot differently now. I mean, our country changed very much for the worse.
Yes.
In my opinion. Not, World War II, I think, when you can define an enemy, I think that's a little different than when you can't.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think we needed to go into Afghanistan. I think that we needed to hunt down Osama bin Laden. I think it was wrong to lie about WMDs in Iraq and to throw us into that.
Yeah, I mean, I spent years repeating the Bush administration's lies. Whether they were lies or whether they believed that, I don't know. I know that I tell you what's spooky is to go read The Project for an American Century. Read that 30 years after it was made,
Right.
and you kind of go, whoa, and how all of those people ended up in the Bush administration.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying that they coordinated 9. I mean, I'm not going to go down that. Like I said, I'm not going to do that. What I think is that they used that to push their world order, if you will.
Yeah.
And we're still paying for it.
Same thing with the Patriot Act.
Yeah,
I mean, you tell me that wasn't written before 9/11 and just waiting to be implemented?
I think it had been written 20 years earlier. They just had no basis to pass it.
Right.
So, yeah, normally legislation takes months. There's amendments. There's hearings. It just, I lost so much of my goodwill towards, and I think that's when I started my rabbit hole of if the government says something, the opposite is probably the truth.
Right.
And it doesn't matter whether it's red or blue. Now, President Trump's been an exception to that, I think. But
Yes.
I think for the most part, Glenn Beck told a really scary story about George W. Bush. I remember.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about. Go ahead and tell that.
Well, I just saw the YouTube. I saw it way back when, but I saw it again where Beck was all over the administration about Iraq. I think he was at CNN still at the time.
Yeah, I think so.
And Bush called him.
Yeah.
And hey, Glenn, you want to come down? Or somebody called. I mean,
Yeah.
somehow contact was made, and Beck was kind of like, "Oh, I've never had the White House call me." And I guess Bush read him the Riot Act.
Profanity laced.
Yeah, which is it's so weird. Because George W. Bush is like the guy sat back and let the media destroy him, and he did nothing, and then goes off Effenheimer's on Glenn Beck. And basically, Bush said, I don't care who the next president is. They're going to do the same thing I'm doing. You watch.
Yeah. We all use the same advisors. And
Yeah. And Beck talked about how in retrospect, and then when he went to go see Trump, and Trump said something on the way to a meeting that he was going to go call Putin.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to go call Vlad. And everybody around was like, huh? Yeah, I'm going to go make the call.
Yeah.
And like, well, you don't do that. Yeah, I do. It was like, and Beck goes, that's when I recognized that Trump's the first person who's really been, Reagan, I think, to a certain extent in foreign policy did what he wanted.
Yes.
There were a lot of people advising him not to do the things he did. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to say Reagan was controlled by people. And he had the personal popularity to kind of, do what he wanted. But I think, but then, if you go to George Bush Sr., who I think was a decent guy, I'm not going to say he was a horrible person or something. But that's when the Republicans kind of fell back to the Eisenhower, Dewey faction that really ran the party until Trump. It was like you had Reagan was kind of a revival of the Goldwater, Robert A. Taft part of the party, and then both Bushes were kind of a back to the Ford, Eisenhower types. And I don't hate Eisenhower for it's not what I'm saying. It was just,
but yet Eisenhower's the one who said in his farewell address, "Beware of the military-industrial complex
and the medical one.
Yes,
and the medical. Everybody forgets that.
Yes, he did also call that out. And so,
well, I don't think Ike saw himself as an ideologue. I don't think he viewed himself that way. I don't. But he also, I always say this about Eisenhower. Boy, he's carefully stayed out of conflicts. You want to talk about a military guy, but you had the Hungary Revolution. He never intervened. You had Indochina, which later became Vietnam, Laos, and all those countries. He stayed out of there. I mean, he was very, very careful, as president, which I think a lot of presidents would have acted differently.
Right.
No. Anyhow, yes, I mean, 9/11 is one of those things that, I try so hard to separate the politics from it, and I have a tougher and tougher time doing it now.
Yeah. But
then you think, how many people lost their lives? How many people could have? How many people could have died that day?
Yeah.
I mean, how many people were in the Twin Towers? I mean, thousands. I mean, you think about, what could have happened. I mean, it's a miracle, I think, that only several thousand people passed.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It was a little hard to step on a plane after that, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I flew about a month, maybe 6 weeks before 9/11. My sister turned 21.
Yeah.
My dad flew us all out to Vegas. And I remember just walking right on the plane. There was nothing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I didn't care. Nobody even thought about anything
right.
like that.
Yeah, before 9/11, I mean...
Show up 15 minutes before the plane takes off.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
No. So, you could meet people at the gate.
Yeah.
Like you could park and just go in. And,
They didn't have that where you had to keep circling over there down that MSP down there. Yeah. I mean, some changes I think have been for the better, but TSA can kiss my arse, but everything else, I mean, I think some things have been for the better. I don't know if frisking grandmas and taking knitting needles away is doing the whole trick, but I do think that there is something. I don't like having to get in. Why should I have to get a passport to get on an airplane? I mean, I think that's where it's gone way too far. So, as always, there's enhance this, but it always goes 10 steps too much.
Right.
So, I mean, 9/11, I do remember where I was, and it was a long day that day. Very long day.
Certainly was. And I think the events of yesterday are very much like 9/11, even though only one person passed away. It just seems like it's one of those moments where everything changes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I have to say of the people, the non-politicians the last 10 years or so, there's maybe half a dozen that have influenced me, and Charlie Kirk's one of them.
Yes.
Tucker Carlson is another.
Yeah.
Glenn Beck is another.
Yeah.
And there's a handful more. I won't count Joe Rogan as a conservative, but he always asks good questions, always is so much smarter than he's given credit for. And but out of these non-politicians, Charlie Kirk had one of the biggest influences on me because I would never do what he was doing. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he went to college campuses and talked to these idiots. I have no time for that. To me, college campuses are the worst place to be in this country. But you know what? I think his instinct was right, that someone needed to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Someone needed to turn around the people. There's this, every movement has this undertone.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Trump first ran for president. And he tapped into a non-ideological, but he tapped into the people, worried about the border, worried about China, worried about the forever wars. Maybe they didn't identify as Republican, or maybe they did at one point. I don't know. But there was that brewing down there. And I remember that in the Republican Party, that there were a lot of people not happy with, they kind of just ate it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was one.
Yeah.
I kind of just ate it and voted for whoever they put up there and was on Team Red.
See,
And-
and I was a little more towards, I don't know what side you would call it, but I was willing to not vote for somebody if I didn't like them. I
Well-
voted for the Constitution Party twice.
Well,
you know,
I did that a few times. For
Yeah.
president, I felt that I couldn't do that. But there were other elections where I did not, and there have been recently where I have not either. For one reason or another. I've talked about some of them over the years.
Yeah.
I'm not going to rehash it. But there was this kind of dissatisfaction out there. And I think that for a lot of people who disagreed with what was going on in college classrooms, there was no outlet. There was no person there challenging it. There was a lot of bitching and griping about it, but there wasn't any action going on. And I think for a long, long time, Republicans lagged behind in, it was, we have to go get young voters. But nobody had a plan to do it.
right.
Nobody had any idea. I think John McCain had a strategy to go get young voters. He stood there and let Obama do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not picking on McCain. I'm just saying that's one example of where I have no idea what that campaign did to get young voters. I couldn't give you a top four.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the effort to rescue young people from the cauldrons of socialism and Marxism, really,
Yeah.
if you want to be blunt about it, is going to be his ultimate legacy. And that I worry about who's going to pick the mantle up of it. I really do. I mean, I worried about that with Andrew Breitbart when he died and some other people. What's going to happen now to Turning Point? I don't know if he has a second in command. I don't know if it's going to be as good as him. Probably not. I mean, the original is always the best.
Right.
So, the what they did in Arizona was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't want to make it political, but I'm when I thought about him and Scott Pressler and a few other people, I'm like, that's what has to happen. That has to be replicated everywhere.
Yes.
We need people like that in every state or every whatever, and to lose one of our giants. And I was shocked 6 weeks, I think, but I was shocked at that. I thought he was like 40.
Oh, no. No.
I'm sorry, but he carried himself so much older and more mature.
Right. Well, I know he got to start when he was like 17, 18. I think 17, and he actually started Turning Point around 18. And he was kind of being mentored by certain people like Glenn Beck, like Dennis Prager, and
Laura Ingraham was another person who he met real early on. She talked about it last night.
Yeah.
I think they turned some donors to him too,
Mm-hmm.
to present what he wanted to do, and he was mentored for a while, and it took a while. It always does, but the man's perseverance is incredible. And the only thing I tell you what, Jay, there's only two things right now that give me solace. And I don't want to get sanguine on anybody, because I'm going to say something on the air. I'm very much trying to rediscover my faith right now. I've been kind of going through that recently.
Yeah.
And I can only say I prayed for his wife and kids.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, the one thing that gives me solace that I believe, and I wholeheartedly believe this, Jay, God has now fulfilled the promise to Charlie Kirk when he was baptized.
Yeah.
That has happened.
Absolutely.
It happened 50 years before it should have.
Yep.
Okay, but you just kind of can't go on without something of something that I don't want to say something good coming out of it, because that sounds bad to say.
Yeah.
But it's like there is his spirit is still out there. And I do believe that.
Yeah. I've had to look at not my belief system, but I have always felt like as long as you're walking in God's will, doing what he has created you to do, that you have his protection to finish the race. That is a belief that I have had. Why would he allow you to get cut off before you've finished your race? And then I look at Charlie's situation, and it's like, oh, goodness. With my human eyes, I see all this more he could have done for his family, done for his church, done for Turning Point, done for the nation. I have a hard time in my human mind bringing those together, reconciling that his race was fully run. But, that's where it says in Scripture, God's thoughts are higher than our thoughts. His ways are higher than our ways. There's another Scripture that I've been visiting that says, unless a seed goes in the ground, it dies. It won't produce a harvest. And so what happens when a seed goes in the ground and dies, what grows out of that is much greater than the seed.
Well, and when you talk about the human and not the spiritual, the mantle's there for somebody else now. It's somebody else's time. Mm-hmm. Why? I don't know. I think one thing, if I have one regret, when I think about faith, it's spending my time trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
It's just if you do that, I'm telling you, you're just going to torture yourself. Why? Why did this happen? Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay? There's no burning bush that's going to tell you. That's where your faith comes in. That's where you, I don't want to say you don't question things anymore, but one thing I've learned is that the afterlife's what we're living for.
Yes.
And so you to put all your eggs in what happens here on earth is the wrong way to look at it. Your soul's eternal. And so but that's hard. I mean, that's hard sometimes to wrap your head around. Mm-hmm. So why it happened, I don't know. Why did the school shooting happen? I have no idea.
Right.
Why did actually I do have some idea, but it's not good.
Yeah.
But it's, so there's, asking yourself why is just, I mean, all you're going to do is get angry and be left with a lot of unanswered questions. And that's just, it's no way to live.
Right. Well, there are things, though, that we do know, and they help in understanding to the point where we can have faith that it's in God's hands. We know that evil exists. We know that
Jay,
evil...
can I I don't mean to interrupt you, but why is there such a reluctance to admit that evil exists? Because I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to catch this a-hole, and he's going to have a mental illness, or he's going to, dad was an alcoholic, or there's going to be a reluctance.
Yeah.
If some people are just downright possessed by the devil.
Yes.
And there's such a I don't know why. I don't know if it's because in some sectors of our society we've had a decline in faith. I think it's actually the pendulum swung a little bit, my opinion. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. What is there about why we can't call something evil anymore? There's just a reluctance to do that. When I was in church as a kid, the words good and evil were used 50 times in a sermon.
Yeah.
There was nothing controversial about it. And now there's like somebody gets stabbed on a public transit. No one calls it evil.
Well, some people call it evil.
Okay, a handful. Yes. The usual people that you would think call it evil.
Yeah.
You watch NBC, nobody calls it evil.
Oh, no. I mean, he's misunderstood, or
He's only arrested 14 times for
Right.
beating up women and doing drugs and, blah, blah, blah. That's not evil. No. He's just, never mind Me Too. Okay. I mean, what do you think it is? What do you think why do you think there's this reluctance why do you think everything's just portrayed as a shade of gray?
because I think if we look at something and say that evil exists, we have to look at ourselves. And when we look at ourselves, we don't want to think that we have the capacity for evil. Not that we're evil people. I think until we come into that point of repenting of what we've done wrong, we are evil people. But just for the sake of discussion, we don't want to look at ourselves and say we're evil people. So by painting it as shades of gray, you see, I believe justice is made up of two things, like true justice. You have mercy on one hand and righteousness on the other. And when they get out of balance, things go crazy. If you have too much, righteousness or judgment, then you're going to be heavy-handed. You're not going to have mercy on people. You're going to be calling out even nitpickety little things, and people are going to feel really bad about themselves.
Right?
And,
there's true evil, and there's people who make dumb choices.
Yeah,
without evil intent,
or even people just start criticizing other people for things that aren't wrong, because they have no love in them. But then if you go the other way and there's too much mercy and not enough righteousness, then you have people that can get away with anything. And that's kind of where the scales have been balanced for the last number of years, is that we've been really light on righteousness and really heavy on mercy. And with that, we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. We don't want anybody to have to face the consequences of their actions. We want to see their word for it when they feel like they're a different gender. And it's all okay. We all have our own truth. The problem is this, that if we don't have a constant with which to measure our thoughts and actions against, if you're looking at science, this is true. You have to have a constant and a variable. Our thoughts are variable. If you don't have a constant to measure that against, then how do you know what truth is or what truth isn't?
Well, not only that, but there's good people who make mistakes. There's good people who occasionally make wrong decisions. Mm-hmm. The question becomes, like you said, there are consequences for bad decisions.
Yes.
If nobody ever goes through the consequences, then there's no reason to stop making bad decisions.
Right.
So when somebody gets arrested 14 times, and the 14th time they're let out with no cash bail, not only will that person, that judge will face no consequences, that attorney will face no consequences.
Yeah.
They're all guilty of something.
I believe.
Now, one person did the crime, but they had enablers.
I believe that they are negligent and that they should possibly face being sued.
Well, or they should face disbarment.
Disbarment.
I mean, there has to be some sort of consequence.
Yeah. I think if you're being negligent and you're letting career criminals back out on the street and they kill somebody, they inflict damage, whatever, that whoever let them out should be held liable.
Well, and I want to say something too. Everything is not foreseeable.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody could serve their time, be let out. You think they're rehabilitated.
Right.
They
That's
say all the
different.
right things.
Yeah.
But this is where there's too much discretion, I think, in the law. There needs to be some.
Yeah.
Because you do have to take circumstances into account. So you have to do
absolutely. First-time offender or,
low-level crime,
Yeah.
somebody commits 2 crimes 20 years apart, okay, they can. I believe in second chances, but I don't believe in 14th chances.
Right.
And there's got to be something that people change their lives all the time. It's a total myth that people can't change. They have to want to, and maybe sometimes they need help, sometimes they need resources, sometimes they need structure. But Jay, I go back to faith. Well, I don't know why I'm on that right now, but I am. How many times, and this is where atheists and agnostic people really piss me off, even though they got the right to think what they want. I believe in the First Amendment, okay? But how many times do you see somebody in jail for 20 years or blah, 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 find God and find the church and, I don't know whether I don't know whether they go to heaven or not. I'll let God sort that out, okay? But just think if they had found God when they were a kid.
Yeah.
And had that structure. Mm-hmm. Do you think they would have committed those crimes? Probably not.
Probably not.
So how then can you say that faith and stuff like that it means nothing and doesn't matter to people?
Well, of course it does. It's, again, people not wanting to take responsibility for their own actions, right? I mean, you look back in history. Let's go as far back as this nation. I mean, when you look at the Mayflower Compact, even when you look at, well, let's start with the Mayflower Compact.
Magna Carta, go back to all that.
But I mean, the Mayflower Compact, it said, we dedicate this land to God. It is our mission to come here and spread the gospel. And even with the Jamestown group, who later went sour because they went after gold instead of whatever.
They went after material things and immediate gratification rather than...
But when they started out, it was about serving God in their founding documents. And then you look at Montesquieu, you look at John Locke, and you look at their writings, and they're pulling off a scripture. And then, you ask just about anybody in this country, just about, I say, because we've gone off our rocker a bit, but is murder wrong? Is theft wrong? Is adultery wrong? Is lying wrong? Where do we get those from? The 10 Commandments. That is the bedrock of this nation's legacy. I mean, that is how we were formed.
And our rights are not given to us by government. Man did not create rights. God did.
Yep.
Man only takes them. I go back to this too. Find me a godless society that has stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Now, I know some religious ones have drowned under their own, the Romans, drowned under their own weight. But show me a godless society that endures.
Right.
Pick one. Now, I may not like the God that they worship, but people have a yearning. I always say this. Most atheists have a yearning for spirituality. That's why they turn to the environment and things like that. There is a yearning in a human being.
Yes.
That there's something out there bigger than them.
Yeah.
I think so too. It gets mixed in a lot of times with self-worship, right? It's like, I like the idea of God, but I still want to do what I want to do. Yeah, right. There's,
I
love God, but I'm just Sunday mornings, I'm just gonna worry about that, and the rest of the week I'm not. Yeah, a lot of that.
But you look at godless nations. You look at the Soviet Union, it collapsed. You look at East Germany, it collapsed. Mm-hmm. You look at some of the Southeastern Asian communist nations. They have relaxed a lot and allowed at least Buddhism to come in.
In China, every day is got a communist philosophy, but they're getting more market-driven. Even though
they allow a church, they allow the official church of China, but there's a huge underground church movement. Iran has the largest Christian revival out of any country on the planet right now.
But that's part because theology was always mixed in with the Iranian government. So the opposition to the Iranian government naturally is going to reject that.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to reject the warped view that the mullahs,
Yeah.
and the Ayatollah have tried to push on them. So part of that is, here's the thing. I hesitate. Like I said, I don't want to get too sanguine here, but the one I keep hearing, oh, we got to talk about what unites us now. We got to all come together.
Yeah.
And I sit here and I think, 30 years ago, I knew what united Americans. Now I don't know anymore.
Right.
There used to be family, God, country.
Yeah.
In the 1980s, 90% of the country believed in that. Now, we can't even agree on, we have men and women. We can't agree on the most basic. I can't think of anything we agree on.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in God and you don't believe in capitalism and you don't believe in our country or our founding documents, well, then you look around and there's neighbors you have that don't speak English and are from a different culture and have no desire to be particular. Why does that make us stronger? I don't have any clue as to what would bring our country together anymore. I'm not sure a foreign government could do it. I don't know that there would be. I think there'd be a rush to try to blame and point fingers. And I think that's the scariest part is, you'd think that watching a guy get shot with two young kids would, kind of just go, gee whiz. But it isn't doing that. Mm-hmm. It is for some.
Yeah.
But it's not for others. The last school shooting here in Minnesota, within hours, anti-gun groups were using it to raise money.
Yeah.
Tim Walz was out there calling for a special session. Didn't even mention the people who got killed. Probably couldn't tell you their names.
Right.
It was just all about a rush to see what they could get out of it.
Right.
And I think to myself, really?
And I'm going to say something very...
Mocking people who pray for the families?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't imagine 50 years ago that ever happening.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say something very controversial here. And I believe that it's important that America comes back together, is healed, and is unified. But I don't believe that you should unify with people whose views are so drastically different from yours. You hear the Democrats constantly saying, well, if the Republicans would only unify with us, we'd be able to get a handle on gun violence. But here's the problem. Unifying with you means that we've got to ban weapons. And that's not the answer. And there's nobody on the right that believes that's the answer. But that's what you want. So how are we supposed to unify with you? How are we supposed to unify with people that are on social media celebrating the death of people like us? How do you do it? I can't tell you because you shouldn't.
I don't know. I don't know how you do it.
I have nothing in common with people like that.
I don't have any desire to. So it almost makes me want to fight harder.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. I want to fight for Charlie Kirk's memory. I don't want to forget it. I don't want to pass laws I don't believe in and use his death to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how you do that. I think, again, until some sanity comes back in that party, I'm lost as to how. And there's judging by most of them, and I say most, not all. And I really, what I really hope? What I really hope is either a third party comes out of this, or enough people leave and either go to the Republicans or that would force the Democrats to change. Because I think that they still think that we're all dumb or we've been lied to in the sort of self stuff just hasn't because I do think sometimes about whether I take something too far sometimes.
Yeah.
And I do think about that. I don't think I've ever on purpose incited any violence or anything. I've never called for anybody to be killed. Here's my question to you, though. What possesses someone? When Melissa Hortman and her husband were assassinated in June,
Yeah.
my first thought was about their kids. Even though I know they're older,
Yeah.
their family, the terror they must have gone through when somebody broke into their home, and that was like the last thing on earth.
Yes.
I can't imagine going on Twitter. And look, I was no fan of Melissa Hortman as a legislator.
No.
But I can't imagine going on Twitter and saying some of the things that I've seen said about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine doing that.
The people dancing and
there were
and
people
celebrating.
at the rally chanting "Kill Charlie Kirk,"
Yeah.
and I just can't imagine getting on Twitter. What possesses you to do that?
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
I don't understand it either. But there is something that is missing with our young people, and
It's not just young people.
Yeah.
There were teachers who've gotten on social media and said things.
Yeah.
There are analysts on TV that have gone on and said things.
Yeah.
These aren't 18-year-olds who, have spent their whole life on their phone.
Yeah.
These are people who know damn well what they're doing and saying.
Oh yeah.
And I cannot understand what possesses them. I just can't.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, did you hear about the poll that had just recently come out? And Glenn Beck had covered it, I think, a couple days ago. Is
it the capitalism one?
Yeah, with Gen Z. And here's the thing.
I might have heard of it, but I
Yeah.
didn't hear the results of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's strange because, there was a 48% positive approval rating of Donald Trump, but yet everything else that they stood for was terrible. And it got worse and worse and worse the further that it went.
Okay,
into
you know
there.
what? Teflon Don. He just the guy could get 48% on a poll of dead people.
But I think really it is. He's not a traditional Republican. He's not a Democrat.
Right.
He's
an alpha male. He's
Yeah.
got the moxie. He stands. There's something likable about Trump's approach. Even the people who don't like it, I still think.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So, but it went on. Let's see. This question was talking about: do you agree or disagree with the statement major industries talk about the like healthcare and energy and big tech should be nationalized and give more control and equity to the people? And
That's a stupid question.
yeah.
though.
70%. It is a stupid question because it doesn't give it to the people when you nationalize it. It gives it to the government.
Giving it to the people would be making it corporate. Then it's a public
Yep,
company.
absolutely. I thought the same thing. But over 70% of young people, including a vast majority of Republicans, young Republicans, thought that was okay.
I'm not surprised at that, though. I mean, if you look at the biggest issue right now economically is affordability.
Yeah.
And the corporate fat cats have never been wealthier. And
Yeah.
I can understand the feeling of when it takes two incomes just to have a house and a car and a 1.7 kids. I get that anger, and I feel it too.
But Republicans should know better.
Okay,
That's everything we stand against.
Okay, but again, Jay, this is something that we've got to stop the purist stuff. Yeah, the marketplace. I hear that all the time. There's still a right and a wrong. And maybe it shouldn't be illegal, but is it right that the wealth is concentrated in so few people?
Yeah.
I mean, do I want the government to forcibly redistribute wealth? No.
Yeah.
Do I want to tell someone how much money they can make? No. But at what point do you say, okay, hey, Target Corporation, if you've got $20 million to give to Black Lives Matter, don't tell me you can't pay your employees more.
Right.
Sorry, I'm not believing you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, CEO, if you're pocketing $30 million. Can't you get by on 28?
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, that solution is wrong. But I'm done with the free market. Just sit back and let the free market happen. And if you end up delivering pizzas, so be it. No.
We haven't had a true free market in how long?
I would say since the 1920s.
Yeah. I agree. But yet to the point where 53% of young likely voters would support a Democratic Socialist candidate for president in 2028.
They don't know what that means.
Yeah. I mean,
The next question should be, what's a Democratic Socialist? I'd like to see that answer.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, look, I'm with you, okay? I'm not sure I think young people kind of always have been like this. You know, it's easy to live on mom's couch or go off to college and, you know, take out loans that you pay back 20 years later or maybe not at all and talk about how the world should be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's easy. You get in Real World USA, and I think your views often change.
Right.
But I think that I'm not wholly surprised. People ask about Mondami in New York. How can you vote for this guy? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, you know what? As whacked as he is,
yeah.
Okay, it's like trying to understand the Bernie Sanders movement. Why does he appeal? He appeals because, although I disagree with every single one of his solutions,
Yeah.
he is speaking to what people are concerned about: cost of healthcare, cost of college, cost of rent.
Yeah.
Granted, his solutions are idiotic, but
Right.
I don't hear Andrew Cuomo talking about that in New York.
Right.
I don't. He's just your status quo political family who thinks he's entitled to power.
Right.
So I guess to a degree, I mean, I'm not saying it's okay to vote for him, for Mondami. I'm just saying I get how some people get to the point where it's like, look, I'm going to vote for the one guy who's actually speaking to the three issues I care about. I don't care what the GDP is. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know how that's calculated. You know, I mean, there's, and this is why when and I think Republicans, especially the ones who are, I don't like calling them the purists, but the ones who are always talking about ideology over people, have got to start rethinking some of their positions. They just have to. Telling somebody, sitting there quoting Milton Friedman helps no one pay their bills.
Right.
You know, and there's a lack of, it's almost mean. I mean, it's almost, well, we can't do that because I learned at the Liberty College of Economics that, but it's like, screw that. People at some point are just going to screw it.
Yeah. The majority of young voters don't think they'll ever be able to afford a house.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Or they'll never collect Social Security. Or they'll never, yes, that's true. But you know what? They're not completely out in left field.
No, they're not.
The average age of a first-time, I actually learned this from Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Average age in this country right now of first-time home buyer is 38 years old. And let
Yeah.
me tell you what the danger is. If you don't own anything, I've said this before.
Yeah.
You don't own a house, you don't own a car, you don't own savings, you don't own anything, you got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You can go do a revolution because
Yeah.
you ain't losing anything.
Well, I mean, we've been saying this as long as we've been doing this, where we saw the trends. We saw 9 years ago, 10 years ago, that they were building all of these high rises, these luxury apartments. Oh, this is what people want. This is what people want, is to rent someplace. This is what the younger generation wants, to be able to rent a place. I mean, we're finding out they don't want to rent that. We're finding out they want to own a home, but they've made home ownership so unaffordable. And really, renting a place isn't any
they've
more
made
affordable.
Rent unaffordable. You can't save.
Yeah.
It's impossible. They've made owning a car so expensive. Now, that's changing a little bit now.
Yeah.
Because the cost of energy under President Trump has dropped quite. It's dropped $1.50 a gallon the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Compared to where we were. But yeah, I mean, they've made the cost of living to the point where you're just a wage slave.
Right.
You know, you end up with $200 at the end of the month if you're lucky for some of these people.
Yeah.
And again, it's so hard to raise a family without a house. It's just so difficult. How do you raise a family where a kid doesn't have a place to play? Or, I mean...
sorry, little 3-year-old, you've got to be quiet because you might disturb the neighbors.
Yeah.
Well,
I just think about growing up in my backyard and going down the street to a friend's house and going to the park and riding my bike to our church or elementary school, not having a care in the world.
Yeah.
And, there's the kids who can't do that now or feel like they can't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
There's that. There's the birth rate.
Yeah.
Especially among white people.
Yeah, it's horrendous.
It's very, very low. And I don't know. I mean, it is, but I go back to affordability and whether it's 100% in line with Ron Paul capitalism or not. I don't care anymore. I don't. And people can call me what they want, but I look, the wealth inadequacy, and I know President Trump has taken a lot of steps with the big beautiful bill that I think will help a lot there. But the affordability, the banking practices in this country, the collaboration of banks, joining together, the Fed, and how they control the money supply. The government doesn't have any say really in that. There's a total rethinking that has to go on. But I go back to the wealth inadequacy. At some point, the have-nots are going to take whatever they want from the haves. You want to stop a civil war, Jeff Bezos? Pay your effing employees something. You can go with one less home. You can. You'll live. And now, again, do I want the government to go take? No. But I want someone to have a conscience.
It's personal responsibility over being forced to do it.
Well, you become a corporation and you've got all the protection in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You're no longer somebody who can get your business taken from you. Well, these corporations will get bailed out. They're too big to fail.
Right.
I don't know. Look, they have a fiduciary responsibility too, and there's that end of it that worries me a lot because technically they've got a obligation to their stockholders, and I own stock in companies, and not many because I don't play the corporate game very much, but I don't like to invest in that. But there is that side of it. But I'll tell you, and here's another aspect of it. I used to be a big supporter of Reaganomics, of what we used to call trickle down. But you give a corporation a tax cut now, I don't know where that money goes. They're so global now that
Right.
Coca-Cola gets a tax cut. Does that go down? Does that trickle down? Or does that go off to India somewhere? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just have no empathy for business anymore. And that's something that just small business is different. But,
Yes.
But the big companies, ever since COVID, I've just been like, we had the largest transfer of wealth from poor people to rich people, and it stayed that way.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, we need to see that reversed.
yeah, and I don't know how to do it because I'm a person that doesn't believe in that the government's role is to redistribute wealth.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't work.
Well, I'll tell you how. We take the restrictions off. We take the regulation off, and we allow people to create and to innovate and to start businesses and not get punished, and to be able to shoot for the moon. Now, I mean, people are really punished, whether it's the tax rates, whether it is.
They are because you start a business. What's the first thing that happens? You lose your health insurance. That's number one.
Yeah.
Okay, number two, you lose the ability to borrow money.
Yep.
You want to buy a house and have your own business. Well, you've got to show, a couple of years of profit, or they won't give you a loan.
Right.
So everybody says, well, innovate, but people choose the safe route all the time because either they can't,
Right.
or they feel like, well, I can't lose this or lose that or lose my paid vacation or whatever. Mm-hmm. You're stuck.
Yeah.
And the having health insurance tied to your job, I think, is the dumbest system ever created. Having a third party pay bills is also the stupidest thing ever created. So that entire system has to go if you're going to be real innovators.
Yeah.
I don't see how that can stay. But I think that's what stops a lot of people is, well, what happens when I lose my full-time job? What happens when I lose that paycheck? What happens? Do I have to create a job and then my spouse has to work? And what happens to the kids at home? And there's a lot that goes into that. You're right in theory that taking the chains off of people is how to do it. But there's still the reality of affordability, of being able to borrow, because we're a debting country right now. Everybody's just in debt, in debt, in debt, in debt, in debt. And you just work your whole life to pay off debt.
Yep.
That mentality has to change too somehow. I don't know how to change that.
Yeah, that's a bigger question than my position in life. That's for sure. Because we're a society that wants everything immediately. We don't want to wait for it, and we don't want to earn it and then go get it. We want to get it and then pay it off, and that there are consequences with that. And until we realize that, I don't know how you change it either.
I don't know how you can change it unless housing gets to the point where it just plummets.
Yeah.
But even then, at some point, it will go back up.
Yeah.
This happened before when the government created a boom and a bust. And it was largely government created, bank created. The banks got bailed out and we got screwed.
Well, keep in mind, though, the housing stock for starter homes is depleted. A lot of them get torn down and they build these split-level McMansion things, or they build apartment buildings where there was a group of homes. And, what if we're not building those type of homes, how do we expect people to start out?
We don't build them at all.
Yeah.
And they're not built anywhere.
Yeah.
It's all cookie-cutter neighborhoods, and that's all that's built now.
Right.
Everybody's trying to Maple Grove everything. And I can say that about the town I live in now.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. Everybody's drive up to Princeton. I drove through Princeton, I remember, a few months ago on my way up north, and that's been Maple Groved.
Yeah, it absolutely has.
High-rise apartments. There's cookie-cutter townhomes. It's like, where did this happen?
Monticello, same thing.
Yeah, well, it's just it's the same blueprint everywhere. So,
well, isn't that what they're taught? when you look at the regional development organizations, whether it's the Met Council or whether it's one of the 10 regional governments through MADO, that is the plan. That is the plan. It has been the plan. It continues to be the plan that we take these cookie cutter developments. We make sure that we have 15-minute cities where everybody can bike or walk to the store and get back, and that they don't have to be driving, and everything you need is right there. We're separated from each other, and that really is the shame of it, is that A, we're losing freedom by our own choice, and then B, we're further separating from each other because we just keep to ourselves.
Well, and I would even add to it that one of the other things that I think goes on is that there is this desire to cram as much in a small space as possible, and reap as much money, tax money, as you can from that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, you take a little development area, cram as many houses, as many apartments, as many townhomes on there as possible, then you tax the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't separate that from motive either.
Right.
Empty land ain't paying the government anything, is it?
No.
And I'm not saying land shouldn't be developed. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
What I'm saying is that, there was a time where, we let people develop their own stuff. Why can't you let some individuals buy things and build what they want?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like everything has to be planned, and everybody's on city, all this stuff. And it's just, I know we're getting way off, way out there, but it's all pretty scary. I've said that a lot of times, it seems like recently,
but it's not way out there, Andrew, because what we're talking about is how the youth have this feeling that they're not able to have the same kind of life that their parents or
that goes back to
grandparents
Charlie
had,
Kirk,
which goes back to Charlie Kirk.
And that's such the opposite of what America was. When I was a kid, I know my parents wanted me to have a better life than them.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted, my dad fought in Vietnam, and I remember one time when I thought about going to the armed forces, he's like, no, I fought so you don't have to.
Yeah.
They hated communism, and when communism fell, it's like, I get to have a life with no communism.
Right.
You don't have to grow up with bomb shelters, and, there was always this belief that the next generation would have it better.
Yeah.
And that belief is not there anymore. I don't believe it.
No.
I don't believe it at all.
I don't either.
And
I worry about my
you're a
children.
father, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I'm an uncle, but I don't think they'll be better. AI makes me very afraid too.
Yeah.
Somebody explain to me how AI is good for the average person. I understand how it's good for corporations.
Yeah.
I understand how it's good for government.
Yeah, for medicine, but for the average person,
AI is a nightmare.
I
don't necessarily believe everything I hear about it. I heard the same thing about cloning in the 90s. I'm not quite sure I believe that we're headed toward a world with no human beings have to do anything. I don't believe that. However, because I've heard that apocalyptic stuff before, but it is scary, and we should be scared of it. We got a right to be scared of it. In the fact that our leaders have no answers, no idea what's going to happen, no idea what we're doing about it. Who knows what the Chinese will do with it? Is a very scary concept to me.
Yeah. It should be. There should be a healthy fear of it, so that we
healthy
respect it.
Healthy fear is a good way to put it.
We need to respect it so that we don't go overboard.
We need to respect it. We need to regulate it. We need to put some parameters around it. But I don't know. I'm very worried about AI. I'm as worried about it as I was about the people getting debanked and people getting canceled and people getting. I mean, it's scary out there. You know, it really is. And so, yeah, I don't know. But it's it's just amazing how I think back to how much my views have shifted over the years. There's no consistency in me at all.
I think that shows growth.
I think my basic belief has never changed.
Right.
But I think, what I think of certain things is definitely. I think I've learned from the Forever Wars. I've learned from, there was a time where, I thought, I still believe in the free market. I just don't believe in it the way, I guess I believe that there's some obligations that come with it. And maybe that's the socialist in me. I don't know. Maybe it's the populist in me. But, I'm a believer in people. And believing in people is, I want everyone to succeed.
Yeah.
There's enough money in this country for everyone to succeed.
Yes.
You got to have the will to succeed. You got to have the desire to succeed. That's true.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't have much regard for the business barons in this country. I just don't.
No.
Especially the ones on the left. The ones on the left piss me off the most because they're such hypocrites.
Right.
They're such hypocrites to make millions of dollars and then whine that we aren't taxed enough. So, well, hey, nothing stops you from cutting a check to the government. Nothing stops you from giving all your employees a 10% raise.
Mm-hmm.
What's stopping you?
Right.
Stopping you, Mark Cuban.
Yeah. And it's not about being socialist or,
it's not socialist, but
it's about individual responsibility and to realize that we have a responsibility to each other. But when we don't do it and we choose not to do it, that's where government gets involved and they screw it up every time because they force the issue rather than allowing people to choose to be generous.
And it brings resentment. It makes government the enemy. It divides everyone. It's just a stupid solution. But unfortunately, I mean, we don't have a lot of business people with much sense of that. It's more about how rich they can get, how quick it can happen. And
right.
I don't know. You know what sucks too is some of these people. I so admire what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say something about Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg made a great product.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, when you think about it, when you think about reconnecting with people from high school and relatives and how easy it is to talk to somebody in Florida or in blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the guy is a wiener schnitzel. And I just don't know how to say it nicely.
Yeah.
Guy let the FBI tell him what to censor on his platform. I mean,
right.
He should be voted out as the CEO for that.
But the people that are around him are nuts too. And
but it's hurt Facebook. It's hurt their reputation. I mean, they've paid a price for it.
Oh yeah.
So that's where I don't get it. I don't get the thinking. I don't get self-inflicted wounds like that.
Right.
I don't understand it. I'll never understand it. I just won't. So
people who don't stand for anything and they'll just kind of go with whatever, wherever the winds kind of take them.
And Trump wins and he kisses Trump's ass, and that pisses me off too. I mean, it just, he's. I don't know. It bothers me, but. Getting back to Charlie Kirk, I'm still, how close do you think we are to like some sort of, I don't want to call it a civil war. How close is the United States to breaking apart?
I would like to think it's a lot more resilient than we give it credit for.
Well, I think it is in some respects.
Yeah.
But it's like, if California wanted to leave the country, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, I'm just saying, are we to the point of, part of me wants to fight for California,
Yeah.
and part of me just wants to go, you've caused this to yourself. It's not my responsibility. But you got 54 electoral votes.
Right.
That affects me.
Yeah.
So I can't turn my back.
But yeah, I think about, I have those same romantic feelings. It's like, I think about the Beach Boys. I think about the
goodness.
ocean. I think about,
California was the state you dreamed about as a kid, man. That was where they went to school at Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
They the Dodgers played. That's where Hollywood was.
Yeah.
There was this mythical thing about California, and now you couldn't pay me to go there.
Yeah. Back in the early 2000s, I'd written a song, and I haven't ever recorded it and released it, but there was a lyric in there. It was kind of about where just driving in the car and going wherever it takes you, but like that it says in this song, California's calling my name.
I wrote a song about California, too. I'll tell you about it after.
I'd have to replace those lyrics today, and I don't know what I would replace it with.
Texas is calling your name.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same mystique to it.
It
though.
doesn't. Texas is a totally different.
I
it's
love
like a different
Texas.
country, but yeah,
Love Florida, but it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not. Texas has a myth to it, but it's nothing like California.
No.
Yeah, I have this song I wrote called "California Dreamin'."
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I haven't released it yet either, but maybe I will someday.
Yeah, well, don't need a ham sandwich.
but I have a mythical feeling about Texas.
Yeah.
I've only been there once. I've been to Dallas.
I've been there a couple times.
Once.
Dallas and Austin, yeah.
Yeah, and I think about the old West. I think about the Texas Rangers. I think about not the baseball team. I think about that. There's a something in the American South that just intrigues me. Sort of that old southern that southern charm, those big houses, those plantations, the small towns. Unfortunately, a lot of the South has been urbanized.
Yeah.
Especially Georgia, North Carolina. We used to be Tobacco Road. Now it's like it's Philadelphia or something. And the population has just exploded down there. Texas and Florida in particular, but there's other places where it's really gone up as well.
Yeah.
So there is this. The South to me has this. Florida's different because I don't associate Florida with the southern states, with country music or with.
But yet it is. I mean,
it is. But there's so many people from other states that have moved to Florida.
Yeah.
That Florida's lost its identity.
Right.
I don't mean
used
that in
to
a
be.
bad way.
Yeah.
Because Florida's become like a freedom place to go.
It used to be very southern. I mean, you think about like Tom Petty and his band came out of Florida, and it just was. It was part of the deep South. But then there's still an element to that. But it's
depends where you are in Florida too.
Yeah. Yeah, the further you are away from like Miami, there is this still deep South poverty.
There's an undertone of that.
Yeah, a lot of drug use, a lot of
Miami's very much like that. Well, I haven't been to Miami in 20 years, so maybe it isn't anymore.
Yeah,
but.
I don't know. I've been through the airport in the last 15, but
Fort Lauderdale was nice. I was there working.
Oh yes,
and then
Clearwater Beach, Tampa.
The Gulf side's nice. I mean, I went down there for spring training a couple times. I love Florida. But it is its own entity now, and I think with Florida becoming like a bastion, it's so sad we have to be economic migrants in our own country. But it's become this freedom gate. And you can see it. You can see where people are leaving and where they're going. And Texas the same way. It's still got that Southern identity, but it's become a place where everybody wants to go,
Right.
to get away from, the high tax,
Yeah.
high regulation, and the funny thing is the minorities down there identify with, they're not like minorities in other states.
Oh, no.
They like school choice.
Yeah.
They like no taxes. They like their church.
Well, you have
they like
Cubans that,
Florida
they
in
lived
particular.
under all of that.
Of course.
It's
very much so. So it is totally different down there. But there's, California. I don't know what will save them. I really don't. I think what I think is that one win will spawn a bunch.
Yeah.
That's what I honestly think. I thought that would happen in some other states, and it hasn't quite happened.
Right.
I thought maybe Virginia, states like that it would turn, and it hasn't quite happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I think California is a place where, God, if there was a stunning win there, it would really change the state. It would somebody would have the ability to show, But, here's the other thing. When Idaho and Utah is where Californians and people in Oregon and Washington are running to, that's...
Montana,
I know. Montana gained an electoral vote.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, gee, if they're not going to learn from that, you got me. What's going to happen? I don't know.
Yeah.
So, New England always head scratches me too. Yeah. It always scratches my head how the founding colonies could vote the way they vote.
Right.
I just don't get that. I really don't. I don't get how Vermont can keep voting for Bernie Sanders.
When history is staring you in the face every day.
Yeah, how can Massachusetts vote for Elizabeth Warren? Mm-hmm. I just kind of scratch my head. I just don't get it. I don't know what to do to turn those states around. Again, there are ways. We've turned around other states.
Yeah.
But boy, that area needs help.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, it wouldn't take that many votes. How many votes would it take to turn around Rhode Island? How many would it really take?
There's not that many there.
What does Rhode Island have? A million people?
Yeah, probably.
Less, maybe? A voting age? A voting age?
I'll find out.
Yeah, Connecticut. New Hampshire's a state I still don't get. They're a little more 50-50, but why have they gone left mostly? I don't know why. You've got some places like D.C. where it's just all liberal lobbyists, but there's other places I don't know why they vote Democratic. I really I can't figure that out.
Yeah.
What do we got here? You got Rhode Island's population?
So, according to the U.S. Federal Register, Rhode Island's population of voting age 18 and over was estimated to be 892,194 in 2023 and 889,822 in 2022.
So it actually went down.
Went up just a little bit, about 30,000. Yeah, went up. Well, no, not quite that much.
Well, here's another question for you. Let me see how many people actually voted.
17,000. No, I'm doing it the wrong way. Is what I meant. Yeah, not 30.
Rhode Island.
3,000. Yeah.
In 2024, Kamala Harris got 285,000 votes. Trump got 214,000. So there were,
over half of the people didn't vote.
The total, they're saying 63% turnout. 513,386 votes.
Okay. Well, there may have been some write-ins and some whatever, I suppose, or
It looks like there's
third
about
party.
13,000 others.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely true. But you think about, okay, so a 70,000 vote margin, that could be turned around pretty good. That's one county in Pennsylvania.
When you have 40%, almost 40% of voting age people not voting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you got to get the. Let me see something.
But that's where Charlie Kirk was so great.
Yeah.
Between him and Scott Pressler getting people registered to vote, they found the votes. I mean, not like in the trunk of a car like Keith Ellison, but like actually found human beings that weren't registered.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do in this state. That's what other states need to do. Register people to vote.
Yeah, there's a lot of... and every state has its own nuances. We have a very decentralized election system.
Right.
Every state has different rules. Every state, there's 29 states where you register by party. Minnesota is one of the 21 that doesn't.
Right.
There's the same day registration. There's the other stuff. I mean, there is a little bit more nuance here than in some other places, but President Trump got over 1.5 million votes. I mean, the votes are there to be gotten. I mean, like I wonder how many. I shouldn't laugh about it, but I wonder how many will come out to vote. Now, again, that's the key. Is finding that in some of these states. I mean, you look at Scott Jensen got about 1.1.
Yeah.
So there's 400,000.
Right.
Is the difference there?
Where to go? You have lower turnout in a gubernatorial year anyway.
Sure, but why? I mean, why?
I don't understand.
Is it? I mean, what is it?
People love to vote for president. They don't love to vote for governor quite as much as they love to vote for president. And they love voting for city council and things like that far less than they even like voting for president.
Sure, and I can understand that to a point. But again, the ability to win is there, and this is where I come back to: who are these voters? Who are these people? Why aren't they voting in the opposite year? I mean, I'm somebody, Jay, I vote in absolutely everything.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I remember I voted in the Minnesota primary. I just went there and voted for Trump. Yeah. Even though he was already saying, I'm going to go. I'm going to go make my voice heard.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Absolutely.
And there weren't many people there. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
But when I went there and did, it was, it was like, okay, somebody else died for this right, and I'm not taking it for granted. And so I don't understand the people who don't vote in the go. And I tend to think with Walz, there may be an energy against him that wasn't there before.
Maybe.
I'm surprised COVID didn't cause it, but I think people are view him way more partisanly than they did. I think he's been the reason. And maybe it's not going to be a walk in the park for him. I don't know.
Yeah. He's
clearly running. So,
yes.
I mean, I don't know why as always, he couldn't tell the truth if he shoved truth serum in his arse, he still would find a way to lie. The guy's just allergic to the truth. But, the fact that no Democrats are jumping in, the fact that there's no sense of urgency anywhere tells me that the decision was made 6 months ago.
Right.
He's just such a liar that it's just impossible to know. But he's an embarrassment, and but again, I'm not convinced we have the people. So
right. Yeah, I don't
Unless
know
I
either.
run.
Well.
I'm the only one that can win. But, I won't go through the endorsement process, because that's all my campaign will be about. So,
Yeah.
not worth it. And I'm interested to see what happens there. I really am. I hope and pray that somebody doesn't spend, a year talking to 800 people in Duluth.
Yeah, we need to do something different. They need to follow Donald Trump's model. They need to follow Charlie Kirk's model. They need to try something different because what we've done hasn't worked. Oh, but this time it will because people hate walls. No, you can't take that chance. You have to try something different.
Yeah, if I hear no new taxes, goodness.
Yeah, well, that's already being bandied about. So
You wouldn't get me to sign anything. Yeah, any last thoughts on Charlie Kirk, Jay? Just wrap this up, but we kind of got off the subject, but we didn't.
Yeah, he was somebody that put skin in the game. He's not somebody that sat back and went to meetings and then got on Facebook and complained. He actually did something about it. He sacrificed. He had kids at home, and he was still out doing this stuff. He was not willing to just take what people were going to give him. And he stood for truth. He stood for freedom. He stood for God. He didn't allow himself to be pushed around, but yet he was still kind. And he took time and he listened. And if we can learn from that, if we can learn how to be kind, but yet to stand unflinchingly with resolve and to never back down from what we know is right, I think that eventually we win.
Well, and I'll tell you the other thing I come back to is, why was he controversial? And I keep seeing him described as things like that. Charlie Kirk was probably the least controversial person. What was controversial about him? I just don't understand that.
Yeah, well, he was conservative.
Okay, well, what's controversial about that?
Well, to you and me, nothing. To people who are trained to hate people like you and me.
But to me,
everything.
he wasn't full of hate. I never got that impression from him.
No, he wasn't.
All right. Well, Jay, on this, I just want to say Charlie Kirk, to his guy, has 2 young children.
Yeah.
Who are going to grow up without him, and to his wife, and God bless them. I just hope they're okay. I don't know if they are. I don't know when they will be.
It's a long road.
It's going to be a long road, unfortunately. So it's just, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It just is. So I'm upset, but I don't know what else to do other than pray for them.
That's all we can do.
Yeah.
Really,
I also want to point out, notice how we aren't rioting in the streets.
Right.
We aren't destroying property. We aren't calling for somebody else to lose their rights. I'd just like to point that out.
Yeah.
As upset as people like us are.
Yeah.
And I am upset. I'm very angry.
You still have flamethrowers online,
You do. That's to be expected, I think. I would say we're outnumbered, even still. Very much so. But there are some. I wish they would stop.
Yeah.
I wish the ones on our side would stop.
Yes.
And I wish that this effort to, everybody needs to tone it down. No. There's one side burning Teslas. There's one side shouting people down at college campuses. There's one side calling for, the death of Israel and conservatives aren't doing that. So no, it's not the same.
Right.
I don't want anybody to be threatened or anybody to lose their life, But I don't believe that there's no difference here and that it's all the same. That's crap.
Right.
So
No, it really is lopsided in one direction. Well, you have the people on our side.
it's not 100%, but it's very high.
Yeah.
All right, Jay. Well, this is going to be this is not going to be a fun. I'm going to put you on the spot. Not going to be a fun sign-off sermon here, but I'm going to have to ask you to take it away here. Styling, profiling, jet flying, limousine riding on this solemn day, both 9/11 and Charlie Kirk, Jay. Give us something, man.
I don't know what I have to give that we haven't already discussed.
Yeah.
This really comes back to being people of faith, and we have not been. We have been faithless or unfaithful rather than faithful people, and we have put our own needs first. We've acquired wealth for ourselves. We have not treated people the way we should have. We have we've joined in with the rhetoric, and there's just a different way. And I think we're entering into a period, and we're here, where we need to move in a more mature way, where we need to be able to stand the way that Charlie Kirk did, with confidence, not backing down from people who disagree with you, but also with love and trying to understand where they came from, but not being moved. We have to. When we've got people that are out there and they want to kill us, when we've got people out there that just disagree with us and could care less, really, if anything happened to us, we've got to stand. And so how do we do that? Well, we do it just day by day. We put our God first, and then everything else falls into place after that. And we ask that you would just take stock of the things that you do have, your family, your friends, the good things in life, and that you would not that you would not take it for granted any longer. That you would wake up every day saying, you know what, I'm going to make a change today, one way or another. Doesn't matter how big, how small, but I'm going to move the cause of faith in God, of doing what is right by other people forward. And I think we'd be amazed at how people would change over time. We can do this. Is it a long shot? Yep, it sure is. But it doesn't matter, because with God, all things are possible. So if that's what we really want, if that's the kind of future that we really want, the time is now to step forward. You know, we spoke for the first part of this podcast, just laying the ideas out there. But ideas are only as good as the paper they're written on, unless we step into it, we embrace it, we put it on, and we allow it to change us. We have to stand against the enemy of our soul, the enemy of our world, the enemy of God. And we have to remember that it is only by the grace of God that we stand. But we've got to stand. We have to stand. where it says in Ephesians that when you have had all this warfare coming at you and you've done everything to stand, continue to stand. That should be our legacy. We're not done. We're just getting started. Things are going to change. Things are going to get better. Even in the midst of all this evil and darkness that we see around us. As our light shines, if we will mature into that kind of understanding and action, then we know. We know that we can change the world. We love you, Minnesota. But now it's your turn to get to work.